"Open your bag, Miss Mitchell." The words were not loud. They did not need to be. Sarah Mitchell stood beneath the warm chandeliers of a Manhattan hotel ballroom, surrounded by nearly 400 guests who had suddenly forgotten their conversations, their lunches, and the charity program unfolding on stage. Every eye seemed to find her. Sarah looked at the canvas shoulder bag hanging against her dusty rose sweater. Then she looked back at the event supervisor. "No." A few whispers moved through the room. The supervisor blinked. "Excuse me." I said no. Sarah kept her voice gentle, though her heartbeat had begun to climb. She had spent the morning coordinating catering deliveries for the annual Ashford Children and Families Luncheon. It was temporary work, just 3 days, but 3 days mattered when rent was due next week and a growing little girl needed new shoes. Sarah could not afford to lose the job. She also could not afford to lose something harder to replace: her dignity. Less than 10 minutes earlier, an envelope containing $50,000 in donation checks had disappeared from the preparation room. Sarah had been the last temporary worker seen near the door. That was all they had. No evidence. No witness. Just her. "Miss Mitchell," the supervisor said, lowering his voice as if that somehow made the humiliation private. "If you have nothing to hide, opening the bag should not be a problem." Sarah felt those words land. She had heard versions of them before. When you needed the paycheck more than the person questioning you did, people sometimes mistook necessity for permission. Sarah slowly placed one hand over the worn strap. "You can investigate me." Her hazel eyes remained steady. "You cannot humiliate me." The ballroom became quieter. Someone near the back raised a phone. Then another. Sarah noticed, and for one painful second, she imagined her daughter seeing the video online. Her mother standing in a crowded ballroom. Strangers watching. Strangers deciding who she was before anyone bothered to learn the truth. The supervisor exhaled impatiently. Security. 2 hotel security employees approached. Sarah swallowed. She did not move. She thought of home instead. The refrigerator covered with her daughter's drawings. The electric bill held beneath a little sunflower magnet. The sneakers Sarah had promised they would by Saturday. Ordinary things. Small things. The kind of things that could collapse when one paycheck disappeared. "Miss Mitchell," one security employee said politely, "we need you to cooperate." Sarah nodded. "I will cooperate with an investigation." She looked toward the supervisor. "But I will not empty my personal belongings in front of hundreds of people because someone decided suspicion was the same thing as proof." A chair moved near the front of the ballroom. Then came a man's voice. Deep. Controlled. Certain. "She already answered you." Heads turned. Sarah did too. A tall man had risen from the center table. Dark espresso brown hair. Black suit. Broad shoulders that made the people beside him seem smaller without him making any effort to dominate them. Sarah recognized him immediately. Everyone in the room did. Ryan Ashford, the billionaire whose company name appeared on the banners. The man whose foundation had brought everyone here. The supervisor straightened. "Mr. Ashford, we are handling a security matter." Ryan's steel gray eyes moved from him to Sarah, then to the phone still pointed in her direction. "No," Ryan said. He stepped away from the table. "You are handling an accusation." The supervisor opened his mouth. Ryan stopped several feet from Sarah. He did not touch her bag. He did not ask her to prove anything. "If you have evidence," he said calmly, "present it." A pause settled over the ballroom. "If you do not, stop treating suspicion like proof." The event supervisor glanced around the ballroom. For the first time, he seemed aware of how many people were watching. "Mr. Ashford," the envelope contained $50,000 in donation checks. Miss Mitchell was the last temporary employee seen near the preparation room. Ryan's expression remained calm. "That explains why you asked her questions." His gaze shifted towards Sarah's bag. "It does not explain why you decided to search her belongings in front of 400 people." The supervisor hesitated. Sarah felt something inside her loosen. Not relief. Not yet. Ryan had not declared her innocent. He did not know her, and Sarah respected that more than she expected. He was asking for something simpler. Proof. Ryan turned toward the hotel security manager. "Are there cameras outside the preparation room?" "Yes, sir." "Then check them." The manager nodded quickly and stepped away. The waiting felt longer than it was. Conversation returned in fragments, low and uncomfortable. Silverware touched plates. A server quietly collected an untouched coffee cup. Sarah remained standing. She could feel the weight of every minute. Ryan stayed nearby, but he did not crowd her. Finally, the security manager returned with a tablet. "We found it." The supervisor stepped forward. The manager turned the screen so several people could see. The envelope was picked up by an event assistant approximately 12 minutes ago. She appears to have mistaken it for the sealed donation packets. "And where is it now?" Ryan asked. "In the donation safe." Silence. Then Sarah breathed. Just once. Slowly. The supervisor looked at her. "Miss Mitchell, I apologize. There was clearly a misunderstanding." Sarah nodded, but Ryan did not. "You accused her publicly." The supervisor looked toward him. Ryan's voice stayed measured. "So correct it publicly." A flush crossed the man's face. He turned toward the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Mitchell had nothing to do with the missing envelope. The checks were misplaced by our event staff and have been recovered. I apologize to Miss Mitchell for the accusation." Sarah lowered her eyes for a moment. She had expected vindication to feel bigger. Instead, it felt quiet, like finally setting down something heavy. She looked at Ryan. "Thank you. You should not have needed me." The answer caught her off guard. Ryan glanced toward the guests slowly returning to their seats. "Someone should have checked the facts before asking you to surrender your dignity." Sarah had no immediate reply, so she simply nodded. Then she turned toward the service corridor. She wanted to finish her shift, collect her pay, and go home to the one person whose opinion mattered more than this entire ballroom. As Sarah adjusted the strap of her canvas bag, something slipped from the outer pocket. A photograph. It landed face up near Ryan's polished shoe. He bent and picked it up. Sarah was already several steps away. Ryan looked at the picture. A woman with chestnut brown curls knelt beside a smiling little girl on the front steps of an apartment building. Sarah's arms were wrapped around the child, both of them squinting slightly into the afternoon sun. For the first time that afternoon, Ryan's composure changed. Not because of their faces, because of the brick entrance behind them. He knew that building. Ryan turned the photograph over. There was handwriting on the back. Sarah Mitchell. Below it was her daughter's name. And beneath that, an address. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Ashford Holdings had acquired that property less than 2 months ago. He had reviewed the portfolio himself. According to the reports on his desk, every existing tenant had been protected. Every lease had been secured. No family was supposed to be displaced. Yet something about seeing Sarah's address made an old detail surface in his memory. A confidential report delivered that morning, marked for executive review. Ryan looked across the ballroom. Sarah had almost reached the corridor. "Miss Mitchell." She stopped. When she turned, Ryan was holding the photograph. Her expression softened with recognition, then tightened when she saw his face. Ryan walked toward her. "How long have you lived at this address?" Sarah took the photograph carefully from his hand. "Almost 5 years." Ryan went still. Then he asked the question that made her uneasiness return. "Can you give me 5 minutes, somewhere private?" Sarah did not answer immediately. 5 minutes. It sounded harmless. But less than 10 minutes ago, this man had been a stranger sitting beneath a foundation banner. Now he knew where she lived, and something about her address had changed his face. Sarah slipped the photograph back into her bag. "Why?" Ryan glanced toward the ballroom. Guests were settling into their seats again, but several people were still watching them. The event supervisor stood near the service entrance, pretending not to listen. "I would rather not discuss your home in front of a room full of strangers." That answer made sense. Still, Sarah hesitated. Ryan noticed. "We can speak with the door open." The simple offer eased something in her. "All right." He led her away from the ballroom, through a quieter corridor lined with framed photographs of Manhattan. Sarah followed several feet behind him. Her white sneakers made almost no sound against the carpet. Ryan did not rush her. At the end of the hall, he opened a conference room and stepped aside, allowing Sarah to enter first. The room was ordinary compared with the ballroom. A long walnut table, 8 chairs, a pitcher of water, tall windows overlooking afternoon traffic several stories below. Ryan left the door partly open. Sarah noticed that too. "Please, sit if you would like. I would rather stand." Ryan nodded. "Of course." He placed his phone on the table and opened the slim black briefcase he had carried from the luncheon. Sarah watched him remove a folder. There was no accusation in his movements, no anger. And somehow, that made her more alert. "What does my apartment have to do with you?" Ryan looked at the folder before answering. "Ashford Holdings purchased your building as part of a residential portfolio 7 weeks ago." Sarah stared at him. Her landlord had mentioned new ownership. Nobody had mentioned Ashford. Ryan continued. The acquisition included 9 buildings and more than 200 occupied apartments. I approved it after receiving written assurances that existing tenant protections would remain in place. Sarah thought about the notice taped to her door 3 days earlier. New administrative fees. A lease review. Language vague enough to keep her awake past midnight. What kind of protections? Existing leases. Reasonable renewal terms. No unnecessary displacement. Sarah gave a small, humorless breath. Then someone forgot to tell the people managing the building. Ryan's eyes sharpened. What happened? Before Sarah could answer, he opened the folder. A page shifted beneath his hand. She saw her street address, then her apartment number. Sarah stopped breathing for a beat. Ryan noticed and turned the folder toward himself, but another page was already visible. Her name, Sarah Mitchell, and directly beneath it, her daughter's name. Every bit of relief she had felt in the ballroom disappeared. Why is she in there? Ryan looked down. His expression changed. Sarah, you knew my daughter's name. No, she stepped back from the table. You asked me here after seeing our photograph. Then you opened a file with my address, my apartment number, and my child's name. Ryan remained where he was. He did not move closer. I understand how this looks. Do you? Her voice was still quiet, but the warmth had left it. Ryan slowly pushed the folder across the table. Then do not take my word for anything. Sarah looked at him. Read it. She did not touch the folder. Not yet. What is it? Ryan's steel gray eyes held hers. A report I received this morning. About my family? About your building. Sarah looked again at her daughter's name. Something cold settled beneath her ribs. Ryan drew a slow breath. There is something happening at that property that was never supposed to happen. Sarah finally reached for the folder. The first page carried the Ashford Holdings logo. The second contained a list of apartments. Her apartment was highlighted. Beside it were 3 words. Renewal not recommended. Sarah looked up. Ryan's face was unreadable, and for the first time since he had defended her, Sarah Mitchell wondered whether following him into this room had been a terrible mistake. Sarah read the line again. Renewal not recommended. 3 ordinary words. Nothing about them looked frightening. That was almost worse. Her daughter's name sat beneath hers, printed neatly inside a corporate document, as if their life could be reduced to a row on a spreadsheet. When does this happen? Ryan remained across the table. I do not know yet. You own the building. A company I control owns the building. Sarah looked up sharply. That sounds like the same thing from where I am standing. Ryan accepted the words without flinching. You are right. The answer unsettled her more than an argument would have. Sarah turned another page. Apartment numbers filled the sheet. Notes appeared beside several of them. Review for non-renewal. Adjust to market rate. Administrative restructuring. Her fingers stopped. These are my neighbors. Ryan stepped slightly closer to the table, then stopped when Sarah's shoulders tightened. He noticed, so he stayed where he was. How many do you recognize? Almost all of them. Sarah pointed to one line. Mrs. Donnelly lives here. She is 72. Another. The Garcias have 2 children. Then another. Marcus works nights at the hospital. His mother lives with him. She looked at Ryan. These are not empty apartments. I know. Do you? The question came out more sharply than Sarah intended. Ryan did not defend himself. Instead, he pulled out a chair and sat, leaving the space between them open. I approved the acquisition because the operating plan stated that current tenants would be protected. Sarah held up the page. This does not look like protection. No, Ryan's jaw tightened. It does not. Sarah thought of the notice taped to her apartment door. The new fee. The lease review. The strange phone calls from management asking whether she planned to stay another year. Suddenly, none of it felt random. How much is the rent supposed to increase? Ryan opened another section of the report. His eyes moved across the numbers. For some units, several $100s a month. Sarah gave a quiet breath. That would be enough. Ryan looked at her. Enough for what? To make people leave without technically forcing them out. Silence settled between them. From the hallway came the distant sound of applause as the luncheon resumed. Sarah almost laughed at the contrast. Hundreds of people were celebrating generosity less than 50 yards away. Here, inside a quiet conference room, families were becoming calculations. She closed the folder. So this is why you wanted me alone. Ryan's expression shifted. What do you mean? You saw my address. You realized I lived in one of your buildings. Now I know what is happening. Sarah tightened her grip on the folder. And you need to know what I am going to do about it. Ryan became very still. Sarah's heart beat harder. You defended me out there. I am grateful for that. She glanced toward the partly open door. But gratitude does not mean I owe you silence. You do not. Then why bring me here? Ryan stood slowly. Sarah instinctively stepped back. He stopped immediately. That small reaction did not escape him. Something softened behind his steel-gray eyes. Sarah. His voice was quieter now. I did not bring you here to protect my company from you. He reached for the folder, but instead of taking it, he turned it fully toward her. I brought you here because this report does not match the one I approved. Sarah stared at him. Ryan pointed to a date near the bottom of the page. This version was prepared yesterday. Then he opened another document. This is the version my office received 6 weeks ago. Sarah compared them. Different language, different numbers, different promises. Her fear did not disappear, but now something else entered the room with it. A question. Ryan looked directly at her. Someone changed the plan after I approved the purchase. Sarah swallowed. And you did not know? No. A long pause. Then Ryan said the words she had not expected from a man with his name on the building. But I should have. Sarah looked from one report to the other. 6 weeks ago, every existing tenant had been marked for protection. Yesterday, nearly 3 dozen apartments had been flagged for review. Her apartment was one of them. Who changed it? Ryan closed the older report. That is what I intend to find out. Sarah studied him. A few minutes earlier, she had been afraid he brought her into this room because she knew too much. Now she was beginning to understand something more complicated. Ryan Ashford might own the company, but someone inside it had decided there were things even he did not need to know. Sarah touched the edge of the newer report. We started getting notices about 3 weeks ago. Ryan's attention sharpened. What kind of notices? New fees first, then inspections, then calls asking whether we plan to renew. How much were the fees? Mine were $185. For what? Sarah almost smiled. That was my question. Ryan did not smile. Did they answer? They called it a property administration adjustment. Ryan reached for his phone. Sarah's hand tightened around the folder. What are you doing? Calling our general counsel. Her uneasiness returned immediately. Why? To freeze every pending action connected to these properties until I know what happened. Sarah stared at him. Just like that. One phone call from him could stop something that had kept dozens of families awake at night. That was power. Not the black suit. Not the ballroom. Not his name on a building. This. Ryan noticed the way she was looking at him. What? Sarah hesitated. You can really stop it with one call. For now, yes. She lowered her eyes. My neighbors have been calling management for weeks. Ryan said nothing. They wait on hold. They leave messages. They take time off work to visit the office. Sarah looked at him again. And you can make one call. The truth landed between them. Ryan slowly lowered his phone. There was no accusation in Sarah's voice. That somehow made it heavier. Tell me what they have been doing. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled out a chair and sat. Ryan sat across from her. Not at the head of the table. Across. The maintenance changed first, Sarah said. Requests started taking longer. Then came the fees. She told him about Mrs. Donnelly worrying that her fixed income would not cover another increase. About Marcus working extra night shifts. About the Garcias quietly searching for another school district because they thought they might have to move. Ryan listened without interrupting. Then Sarah stopped. Her fingers folded together. My daughter saw me packing. Ryan's expression softened. You are moving? No, Sarah looked toward the window. I was sorting things. Just in case. Her voice became quieter. She thought we were leaving. A pause. So she packed her own box. Ryan did not speak. She put in 3 books, her stuffed rabbit, 2 sweaters, and a picture of us. Sarah swallowed. Then she asked me which things we could afford to keep. The conference room became completely still. Ryan looked down at the reports. Numbers. Units. Projected returns. Market adjustments. For the first time, those words seemed almost absurd. Sarah took a breath. I can handle being scared. Her eyes returned to his. But she should not have to learn that feeling at her age. Ryan picked up his phone again. This time, Sarah did not stop him. He placed the call. When someone answered, his voice remained calm. This is Ryan Ashford. Effective immediately, freeze every non-renewal, rent adjustment, and new administrative fee connected to the residential portfolio acquired 7 weeks ago. He listened. No exceptions. Another pause. and preserve every version of every report associated with that acquisition. Sarah watched him. Ryan ended the call. It is frozen. Sarah looked at the folder between them. For me. For everyone. She held his gaze. Then, softly, she said, "Good." Ryan seemed surprised. Sarah pushed the list of apartments toward him. "Because if you had only saved mine, I would have asked you to make the call again." Ryan looked at Sarah for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, the corner of his expression softened. "I believe you would have." Sarah leaned back slightly. "You sound surprised. I spend most of my day with people asking me to make exceptions for them." He glanced at the apartment list between them. "You just made sure I did not." Sarah looked down at the names. "They are my neighbors." To her, that explained everything. Ryan seemed to understand. His phone vibrated against the table. He checked the screen. The softness disappeared. "What is it?" Sarah asked. "My general counsel." Ryan answered. "Yes." He listened without interrupting. Sarah watched his face become still. Not angry. Focused. "When was that authorized?" A pause. "No. Do not contact the property manager yet." Another pause. "Preserve everything first. Emails, reports, approval records, internal messages. I want the original files." Ryan ended the call. Sarah waited. What did they say? "There are discrepancies in more than one building." Her stomach tightened. "How many?" "We do not know yet." Ryan stood and walked toward the window, leaving several feet between them. "The subsidiary managing your property submitted one financial model to my acquisition team. A different operating model appears to have been circulated internally after closing." Sarah looked at the newer report. "So somebody planned this." "I am not going to tell you that until I can prove it." That answer mattered. Ryan was not offering her a villain because a villain would make the story easier. He was offering facts. Sarah nodded. "Fair." The word made Ryan turn. For a second, neither spoke. Then Sarah reached into her canvas bag and removed her phone. "There is something else." Ryan returned to the table. "What?" Sarah opened her photographs. The first showed a white notice taped to her apartment door. The next showed another notice in the lobby. Then another. Ryan leaned closer, careful not to take the phone from her hand. "These dates are from before yesterday's report." "Yes." His eyes narrowed. "How far back?" 3 weeks. Sarah swiped again. "I started taking pictures because the notices kept changing. One would say new fees. Another would mention lease restructuring. Then they would disappear from the lobby." Ryan looked at her. "Do you still have all of them?" "Yes." "Do not delete anything." Sarah almost laughed. "I was not planning to." Ryan gave the smallest nod. "Good." She scrolled once more, then stopped on a photograph she had not meant to show him. A cardboard box sat on her living room floor. 3 children's books, 2 folded sweaters, a worn stuffed rabbit, and a framed photograph of Sarah holding her daughter as a baby. Ryan saw it. Sarah quickly lowered the phone. "That is the box." She nodded. For the first time since entering the conference room, Sarah had no carefully prepared answer. "She packed it while I was making dinner." Ryan sat again. "She thought we had to leave?" "Yes." Sarah stared at the dark phone screen. "I told her we were not going anywhere yet." "Yet." The words stayed between them. "She asked if we could take her bed." Ryan looked down. Sarah continued, quieter now. "I told her of course we could." Her fingers tightened around the phone. Then she asked whether beds cost money to move. Ryan closed his eyes for one brief second. When he opened them, something had changed. Not pity. Sarah would have hated pity. It was responsibility. "My company created that fear. You did not put the notice on my door." "No." Ryan looked at the reports. "But my signature made the purchase possible." His phone vibrated again. He ignored it. Sarah studied him. The man she had feared 20 minutes earlier was still powerful. That had not changed. What had changed was what he seemed willing to do with that power. Ryan pushed the newer report aside. "I am going to investigate every building in this portfolio." Sarah nodded. "And if fixing this costs the company money?" Ryan answered without hesitation. "Then it costs us money." Sarah held his gaze. "Even millions?" "Yes." The certainty in his voice was almost quiet. Then Sarah said the one thing Ryan had not expected. "Do not just fix the paperwork." He waited. "Talk to the families." A pause. "Because reports told you everything was fine." Sarah placed her phone beside the folder. "We are the ones who can tell you whether it is." Ryan looked at Sarah's phone, then at the reports spread across the walnut table. "You are right." Sarah waited. He picked up his phone and called General Counsel again. This review changes now. I do not want only financial records and internal approvals. I want tenant interviews from every building in the portfolio. He listened. No management representatives in the room. Another pause, and no prepared questions from the subsidiary. Independent interviews. Sarah watched him carefully. Ryan continued. If we want to know what happened, we asked the people who lived through it. He ended the call. For the first time since entering the conference room, Sarah felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. Then Ryan's phone rang again. He looked at the screen. My chief financial officer. Sarah could hear only Ryan's side of the conversation. Yes, I froze the portfolio. A pause. I understand the projections. Another. No, we are not resuming anything until the review is complete. Ryan's expression hardened slightly. How much? He listened. Sarah saw his eyes shift toward the acquisition folder. That is not a reason to continue. Another pause. Ryan stood. If the numbers only work when families are pushed out of their homes, then the numbers do not work. Sarah looked at him. His voice never rose. It did not need to. Freeze it. He ended the call. How much? Sarah asked. Ryan hesitated. The current model projected several $1,000,000 in additional annual revenue. Sarah absorbed that quietly. Several $1,000,000. The number belonged to a world she could barely imagine. Her world was $185 in unexplained fees. A grocery bill. New shoes for her daughter. A few $100s could change the shape of her month. A few million could apparently become a line in someone else's meeting. And they want you to keep the increases? They want me to consider the financial consequences. That is a careful way of saying yes. Ryan almost smiled. Very careful. Sarah looked again at the tenant list. Then there is something you need to understand. Ryan waited. If you announce that you saved everyone, people will thank you. She slid the list toward him. But they should never have needed saving from a company you own. The words landed cleanly. Ryan did not look offended. He looked thoughtful. Sarah continued. Please do not turn this into a charity story. I was not planning to. Good. She pointed to her apartment number. Do not forgive my fees because you met me today. Then she moved her finger down the page. Fix hers. Fix his. Fix theirs. Ryan followed each name. Everyone. Yes. Sarah sat back. If the policy was wrong, fix the policy. Ryan was silent for several seconds. Then he picked up the list. Would you be willing to speak with the investigators? Yes. Would your neighbors? If they believe someone will actually listen. Ryan nodded. I will make sure they do. Sarah studied him. No, he paused. You cannot make people trust you. The correction surprised him. Sarah's voice softened. You can give them a reason to. For the first time that afternoon, Ryan had no immediate answer. Then he nodded. You are right. He called general counsel once more. This time, his instructions were simpler. Add a tenant representative to the review process. He looked at Sarah. And make sure management cannot select that person. A voice answered through the phone. Ryan listened, then said, No. Use my authorization. Another pause. If anyone objects, put my name on the decision. Sarah watched him end the call. Outside the conference room, the luncheon continued. Plates were cleared. Coffee was poured. People laughed again, unaware that a multi-million-dollar decision had just changed in a quiet room down the hall. Ryan gathered the two conflicting reports. I have to go upstairs and deal with this. Sarah stood. So do I. Ryan looked confused. I still have a catering shift. For a second, he simply stared at her. Then Sarah smiled faintly. Some of us still get paid by the hour, Mr. Ashford. That earned the smallest smile from him. He stepped toward the door and opened it fully. Sarah walked past him, then stopped. Ryan. It was the first time she had used his first name. He turned. Do not make me regret believing you. Ryan's smile disappeared. His answer was quiet. I will try to give you something better than a promise. Sarah waited. Proof. 4 days later, Sarah found a white envelope taped to her apartment door. For half a second, her stomach tightened. Too many envelopes had appeared there lately. Then she saw the Ashford Holdings logo, and beneath it, 2 words. Tenant update. Sarah carried it inside before opening it. Her daughter sat at the kitchen table, coloring a picture of a house with a bright yellow door. The cardboard box she had packed days earlier was still beside the couch. Sarah noticed it every time she walked past. She opened the envelope. The first sentence made her sit down. All pending non-renewals, rent adjustments, and administrative fees connected to the recent acquisition had been suspended. The second page went further. Improper fees would be refunded. Existing lease protections would remain in effect while an independent review continued. Sarah read it twice. Then her daughter looked up. "Mom, are we still moving?" Sarah lowered the letter. "No, sweetheart." The little girl studied her face. "You are sure?" Sarah smiled. This time, she did not have to pretend. "I am sure." Her daughter climbed down from the chair and walked toward the cardboard box. "Can I unpack Mr. Buttons?" Sarah laughed softly. "Yes." The stuffed rabbit came out first. 3 books followed. Then the framed photograph. Ordinary things returned to ordinary places. And somehow, that felt enormous. 2 days later, Sarah attended the first tenant meeting in the community room downstairs. Every chair was filled. Mrs. Donnelly sat near the front. Marcus had come directly from his hospital shift. The Garcias brought their children because they could not find a sitter. No television cameras. No polished speeches. Just people. 2 independent investigators sat at folding tables with notebooks. Ryan stood near the back. No podium. No foundation banner. No introduction. Sarah noticed that he listened far more than he spoke. One tenant described unanswered maintenance requests. Another produced copies of unexplained charges. Mrs. Donnelly unfolded 3 notices she had saved in a kitchen drawer. By the end of the evening, the pattern was impossible to dismiss. The final report came 3 weeks later. The management subsidiary had altered the operating plan after the acquisition, added unauthorized fees, and pursued aggressive renewal strategies that had never been disclosed to Ryan's executive office. The management contract was terminated. Every improper fee was refunded. New tenant protections were added across the entire residential portfolio. Sarah received a separate letter offering compensation for lost work hours, administrative charges, and documented expenses. There was also an additional amount. She called Ryan. "This is too much. It is compensation. Part of it is." A pause. "And the rest?" Sarah looked at the check. "I did not earn it. You went through weeks of uncertainty because my company failed to supervise this properly." "Yes." Her voice stayed gentle. "And you should fix that failure. But you do not need to purchase my forgiveness." Silence filled the line. Then Ryan said quietly, "I was not trying to." "I know." Sarah smiled. "That is why I am telling you." She accepted reimbursement for every dollar she had actually lost. Nothing more. The following week, Ryan invited her to Ashford Holdings. This time, the conference room door was already open. On the table sat no check, only a folder. Sarah looked at it. "What is this?" "A proposal." Ryan pushed it toward her. "We are creating a permanent tenant advisory council. Independent access to executive review, quarterly meetings, direct reporting authority." Sarah opened the folder. Her name appeared on the first page. Not as a charity recipient. Not as a publicity story. As a proposed community representative. "You want me to work for you?" Ryan shook his head. "No." Sarah looked up. "I want you to disagree with us when we need it." That made her smile. Ryan continued. "You were right about something. Only one thing." The smallest smile crossed his face. "One thing in particular." He glanced toward the open doorway. "People should not have to reach someone powerful before they are heard." Sarah looked at the proposal again. Weeks earlier, she had entered this room afraid that Ryan's power might be used to silence her. Now he was offering her something very different. A voice. Sarah closed the folder gently. "I have conditions." Ryan leaned back. "I assumed you would." For the first time, Sarah was glad that he had. 3 months later, Sarah walked through the glass doors of Ashford Holdings carrying the same canvas shoulder bag she had refused to open in that ballroom. This time, nobody questioned why she was there. The receptionist smiled. "Good morning, Miss Mitchell. They are waiting for you upstairs." Sarah thanked her and stepped into the elevator. On the 28th floor, the Tenant Advisory Council was gathering for its quarterly meeting. Mrs. Donnelly had sent 3 pages of handwritten notes. Marcus had collected maintenance records from 6 families. The Garcias had suggested a simpler way for tenants to report unexpected fees. Sarah carried all of it. Not complaints. Voices. When she reached the conference room, Ryan was already there. The door stood open. Sarah stopped for half a second. Ryan noticed. "You remembered," she said. He glanced toward the doorway. "Yes." There was no dramatic explanation. There did not need to be one. The first time Sarah had entered that room, she had measured the distance between herself and the exit. Now, she walked inside without thinking about it. That difference meant more than Ryan probably understood. The meeting lasted almost 2 hours. Sarah disagreed with him twice. The first time, Ryan asked her to explain. The second time, he changed the proposal. No one treated her like a woman who should be grateful simply to have a seat at the table. That had been one of her conditions. The other was simpler. Every tenant concerned received a written response from a real person. No endless phone menus. No complaints disappearing into shared inboxes. No family wondering whether anyone had listened. After the meeting, Sarah gathered her papers. "You were right," Ryan said. She looked at him. "About what?" "The system needed a door." Sarah smiled. "No, it needed people willing to open it." Ryan considered that. Fair correction. They walked toward the lobby together. Sarah's daughter was waiting near reception with a neighbor who had brought her after school. The moment she saw Sarah, she ran forward carrying a sheet of construction paper. "Mom." Sarah crouched and opened her arms. Her daughter hugged her, then proudly held up the drawing. It showed their apartment building beneath an enormous yellow sun. Every window had a different colored curtain. At the bottom, in careful handwriting, were 4 words. "We get to stay." Sarah stared at them. For a moment, she could not speak. Her daughter tilted her head. "Do you like it?" Sarah pulled her close. "I love it." Ryan remained several feet away. He did not interrupt. He did not turn the moment into something about himself. Sarah noticed that too. When her daughter hurried toward the reception desk to show the drawing to someone else, Sarah stood. Ryan looked at the picture again. "That is better than any quarterly report I have seen." Sarah laughed softly. "Do not tell your finance department. I think they already suspect I have changed." Sarah studied him. "Have you?" Ryan looked through the glass wall toward Manhattan. "I used to think responsibility meant making the right decision when the information reached my desk." He paused. "Now I think it also means asking why certain information never reaches the desk at all." Sarah nodded. That answer felt earned. Not perfect. Earned. Months ago, Ryan's power had frightened her because she had seen how quickly one man could change what dozens of families could not. Now she understood something else. Power did not reveal character simply by existing. Character was revealed by what someone did after learning that power had failed another person. Sarah adjusted the strap of her bag. "We should go." I promised her ice cream. Ryan smiled. "Important meeting." "Very." Sarah started toward her daughter, then looked back. "Ryan." "Yes." "Thank you for leaving the door open." His expression softened. "Thank you for walking through it." Sarah joined her daughter. Together, they stepped into the elevator, the little girl still holding her drawing against her chest. Ryan remained in the lobby as the doors closed. The first time he protected Sarah Mitchell, hundreds of people had watched. But the moment she finally stopped fearing him happened quietly, with no audience at all.